Hello, everyone. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This is building your astral dream house. Before we get into it, just want to mention a couple things. First, Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel, you can certainly do so on Patreon. When you join, you get advanced podcasts on Sunday, a chat function where you can talk with me and everybody else, and also direct mail where you can ask me questions that you don't want to share with everybody else. And if that's something you're interested in, there is a link in the description. Next up, private astral projection lesson. If you'd like a lesson to learn how to astral project, be glad to work with you. Working with folks now all over the world. And so if that's something that you're interested in, just send me an email to the email address in the description asking for more information. Okay, building on the astral plane. Now, I know a little bit about the subject. I've done a little bit of it myself just to show that I could do it. But I don't consider myself an expert in this area because I'm much more of an explorer. I want to explore the mysteries of the universe and all the dimensions and history, not build 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath complexes. But I know there are people out there that are interested in building on the astral plane. So I'll just cover some things that I know about the process so that you might be able to build your own little cottage somewhere in a corner of the astral plane. Okay, first of all, I think it kind of goes without saying you have to be an accomplished astral projector because this is not a lucid dream where it's your own reality you're creating inside your head, and you can simply make things happen just by a wish to suddenly make it happen. When you're building on the astral plane, you have to invest time and energy, much like when you want to change something on the physical plane. If you want to, for instance, paint your bedroom, you've got to go down to Home Depot and buy paint and rollers and trays and everything else that you need. And then you got to, go home and do the primer and paint your room. And it can be a little bit of an exhausting process. And it certainly costs your energy and a little bit of money. But you can change the physical plane. The process is somewhat similar on the astral plane, because this is a plane that exists apart from you. When you wake up from your lucid dream, that reality goes away. When you leave the astral plane, it's still there. It doesn't disappear just because you return to your body. So, what's the best way to go about it? Well, I find that if you want to, say, let's make a cottage, for instance, on the astral, the best thing to do is to, first of all, get a good idea as to what you want it to look like. Find pictures of a cottage that you like. Even better, if you can find one that basically looks like what you're trying to accomplish, then go there and take pictures if you can without trespassing on somebody's property. It's best to go up there and kind of get your hands on the cottage itself. Close your eyes and kind of feel what the wood feels like, and if there's some plaster somewhere, and just basically to get a multi-sensory idea of what's involved with this particular cottage, let's say. So you want your eyes to memorize this particular cottage. You want your sense of touch and smell and everything else cooperating together so that you can capture the energy essence of the cottage, let's say, that you want to build. Once you've got all that down, and you probably want to rehearse it in your head, trying to imagine all your senses, and try to remember what you saw, what you felt, what you smelled, and try to make it as real as possible. And first of all, kind of build it in your mind so that you have a real good sensory idea of what makes up this particular building. Now, it would be best if you could get inside. And maybe your friend or your relatives have a cottage, or maybe you do, that you want to build on the Astral. That's great. I'm not suggesting you should break and enter somebody's cottage just to do that, but if it's possible, that's best, because then you could really absorb what's involved inside that particular building. Once you've got that down, then you have to, of course, begin your astral projection plan. How many projections is this going to take to build? Well, you won't really know until you start building it, because I have seen various people with different amounts of ability. Some could build it rather quickly, others, it was a slow and laborious process. So, it's hard for me to say that it's going to take X amount of projections for everyone, because it literally has to do with your own ability level, and also your reserve of energy and your ability to use that energy in a kind of intelligent infinity construction. Because you're not only using your own energy, because you would drain the heck out of yourself if you just used your own. You also want to be able to access, when you're on the astral, the energy that is called by some intelligent infinity. I mean, there is an infinity amount of energy that is available in the universe. All you have to do is to learn to tap into it. Hopefully, you've already kind of mastered that if you're an advanced astral projector. If not, then you have to learn that when you project, to absorb as much energy as you can. Now, I have previously shared other ways that you can gain energy through what I call power-ups. And these are things I really haven't seen in a lot of places. I just kind of stumbled on it myself. For instance, flying through storm clouds, you can inhale energy. Flying along a beach where the waves are crashing against the shore, you can get energy. Flying over a windswept mountain peak, you can do so. Also, by flying through a pine forest when the pine needles are falling is also another means of absorbing that type of energy. So let's say that you've got the energy sources down pat before you start building. Next up, you want to find the area of the astral where you feel comfortable. When you first leave your body, most of us find ourselves in the lower astral. That's the default setting. That's why I usually tell people, unless you're there for rescue work, you want to get outside your home and think of some pure love that you have for another, and then use that increased vibrational ability to rise into the air, putting yourself into a higher vibrational state. That can be very, very critical. So you want to raise your vibrations a number of different times and sample the feeling of the various planes as you arrive in them. Do you feel comfortable? If you're too low, you'll probably feel a little heavy. And the heaviness, if you really think about it, feels a little uncomfortable. That's a signal that you're probably a little too low. If you continue to increase, if it feels like you've left the TV way too loud, like there's way too much stimulation, way too much energy that's kind of stressing you out a little bit, you probably went a little too high. So what you want to find in a kind of a Goldilocks zone is some soup that's just right. A plane where you feel good and you feel at home. That's where you want to build your cottage. So grab a portion of that plane that is presently unpopulated. I mean, once again, most people I think who are building on the astral tend to be your more introverted type of individuals. Because if you're an extrovert and you want to be amongst a lot of other people on that plane, there are cities that exist. You don't have to build. But usually when I talk to people who are interested in building something like their own little cottage, they're looking for some alone time, some peace. So you want to find a place that's a little out of the way and certainly isn't currently developed. On the plus side, you don't have to get all kinds of permits and licenses and whatever. You don't have to worry about digging and messing with some underground pipes or any other electric wires, what have you. So that's the good point of building on the astral. So once you've found your place and you've got your energy, you're just brimming with energy right now. You want to think back to the cottage that you had seen that you're going to use as your model. And also think back to what the cottage felt like. You know, when you felt along the outside walls, for instance, of the cottage, or if you were able to go inside, what the inside ones felt like as well. And then you want to, in essence, meditate within that astral plane and bring into existence through your use of intelligent infinity to build those walls and start, one portion of a wall at a time. At first, it'll be probably a little hairy. You might have to wreck it and start over again. Yeah, there's a little bit of a talent to it. It's kind of the difference between somebody who isn't that handy and just kind of reads a book versus somebody who just was born with that ability to build and to be a carpenter and a bricklayer and what have you. So you might have to do a little trial and error. But then you want to begin to construct that building, like I said, wall by wall. And as you construct the wall, you're in essence, it's almost like you're fashioning these building materials out of this clay that is what you call intelligent infinity. And through your will, now I always have that in capital letters, through your will, you're making it manifest and then putting it into the place that you want it. And you must, as you do that, you must begin to believe in its truth and its existence, because you're the one who is actually bringing this into reality on this particular plane. So you must continue to believe that it is real and it has a reality. Because if you put a lot of energy in that belief, it will become more and more solid, and it'll last for a long period of time, even if you're not constantly running around inside of it. So this is what you want to follow as you continue to build the walls of this particular cottage. Once you've gotten the outside walls, then you can go inside and to begin to recreate the look of the inside. Once again, if you've been able to really get some good mental pictures of what you want the inside to look like, you should really have clear pictures too of exactly what you want to make happen. Because remember, you're willing it into existence. Now you can make changes. If you will into an existence a leather chair that you can recline in, if at first it's black, you can make it brown, for instance, with a relatively minor adjustment. But the clearer your mind is and the stronger your will is, and the use of the energy that you have accumulated, it will become more and more easy to continue to create this particular cottage. Now, you're probably, I could say almost definitely, you're not going to be building this whole thing in one trip. Because there's quite a bit involved in doing this. You'll have to do multiple trips. Just make sure that when you start feeling that signal and that's pulling you back into your body, make sure you get a good look at what you have built and know that in your mind it is real, in that it will remain the exact way you have created it until you return to begin to finish your project. You may have some onlookers that show up that ask you what you're up to. There are some curious people who wander around and want to know what's going on. If that happens, make sure you're polite. Let them know what you're doing. If anybody offers to help, think about it. But, be careful of who you let into your dream house. because there's, the chances are you'll be on a plane where there's good-natured folks, but there's also some slightly weird folks too that you don't want to get too close to. You basically just want to use your intuition. But if you find that you want some help and some people come and offer to help, hey, it's up to you. You can certainly take advantage of it if you wish, because there are folks that can be helpful, especially on the mid to higher planes. Okay, well, that's a little thumbnail sketch of building your dream house on the astral plane. Once again, I'm not an expert in this area. Rather than build a cottage on the astral plane, I'd rather, explore space and time and history and learn all the mysteries that humans don't know about. But hey, I know there's other folks who are just like, I just want to, chill in my astral cottage and maybe throw a fishing line into my astral pool to see if I can catch some astral fish. And so, hey, you do you. Okay. If you like that, please hit the like button, share it with those of like minds, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you leave comments and questions. Would you like to build something on the astral plane? What would you build? Would you build a big mansion? Would you build a big thing like Michael Jackson and have amusement parks and animal zoos and all the rest of that? Or would you just want like a little cottage and, a little place in the middle of nowhere where you can throw a fishing pole in and just go fishing? Let me know. Okay, at any rate, this is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.